Oh,
Oh, okay.
we're
All
live
right.
right now.
Yeah, we're live right now.
All
All right,
right.
we're live right now. Hello, everybody.
Professionalism for you.
Welcome
So,
to.
I
Uh,
mean, I think we're live.
okay, I'm opening Twitch. All right. Welcome everybody to RS podcast number 17. Unfortunately, the pre-recording we did do yesterday. Whoops, didn't record the audio. Shit happens, so we're here live right now. 9:05. If it ain't late, it ain't RPO. Uh, bringing you podcast number 17. I think I already said that. Tonocles, can you start it off with what did we talk first about last? Staff changes? Staff changes are up first.
yeah, not a problem. So we are. First of all, did y'all get my message in chat? So,
Um,
Yeah, I'm opening Twitch right now.
not showing us on Twitch. It's live. I can hear us.
okay, very well. Are you sure we're not just
Probably could
on
just be like the.
OBS and not like
No, no,
actually
I'm
on?
actually on Twitch right now looking, and it says we're live. It's on.
Okay, because at this point, I don't really care to maintain
Are
professionalism
we
of.
live? Question mark.
Uh,
Yes, Steven can hear us.
Hey,
okay.
hi, Steven.
Hello, finally Friday.
All right, just making sure we aren't gonna do this a third time. So I'd much rather save myself that than the professionalism aspect of it. So anyway, staff changes. Let's go ahead and jump into those. We're gonna have an owner going forward. That's pretty self-explanatory. Everything else is changing. So big changes is gonna start at the bottom. We're gonna have a new position. The next three positions I'm gonna go over are all tentative name changes, but they're gonna be the new roles going forward. We're gonna have trainees. Trainees are gonna basically be the new people to the staff. They're gonna be people that are looking to help out, say they want to help out, but um, either haven't been in the community very long. We don't have a quote unquote defined role to give them in other places, etc., etc. And so they're kind of working their way up the ladder, trying to help out where they can and then earn a bigger role. Above trainees is going to be mentors. Mentors are going to assist in kind of giving trainees direction, guidance, um, things like that. They're going to assist the staff heads, which is the next position we'll go over. And then on top of that, um, they could also be people that have worked on staff in the past, but aren't necessarily available to give us as much time as they had previously, but they still have valued and trusted opinions. So our mentors, quote unquote, kind of have a duality of purpose, or could be one or the other of those things I just mentioned. Above them will be staff heads. Staff heads are going to be kind of what you're used to EOs being, where they oversee a department of mentors and trainees. So, like, think of a production staff head or a management staff head, where they are the ones that oversee the team. Then you got EOs, which are going to be me and Batman, and we're going to be kind of that uh, catch-all up to the owner, before the owner, where we give guidance to the staff heads. The staff heads then go out and execute kind of what we want to see the changes implemented, etc., etc. So EOs are going to kind of be doing um, a more holistic approach towards running the staff and things like that, and the owner is going to remain in charge of everything, giving the EOs direction and then chain of command from there on down. An important thing to note before we jump into other things in the podcast, um, we have heard you guys out in the community, your concerns about EOs and certain staff um, and their influence while playing. Owner Django will know by his personal decision will no longer be playing. We're not letting the owner play um, going forward. EOs and staff heads will still be allowed to play, but they cannot captain a team. And the reason why that's important is um, so we're going to probably um, go along with a suggestion we had in the past where we let the roster change log be seen by the captains of each team. So, um, and it's important because now, since staff heads can't captain their own team, they can't submit last minute roster changes that barely got in, um, or something that may be fishy, um, things like that. In the past, we kind of just let anyone play in the league, um, because it hadn't been an issue of having staff abuse their power to gain advantages in games, despite what some salty people may have said. The people on our staff were always trustworthy people. But we have heard you, so we are going to try and find a middle ground because, after all, the reason most people become staff is because they want to improve the league and the server that they enjoy playing in. So we're trying to let them still play while trying to preserve as much competitive integrity as possible. So, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump over to Batman and his news and rundown on the changes to production.
All right, so production casting will take a different approach this coming season. Casting over recordings have been tedious and lowered our quality. We'll be doing away with this. Our new plan will be to have pairs of casters record their casting over the live game, and then we will podcast those recordings the next day. We can pump out games more equivalent to our manpower that way. U Gold and U Plat will be played at the same time, which is at 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And if we are able to recruit enough teams for the U Diamond division, it will be held on Sundays at either 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. Um, with these changes, it'll make playing and casting almost impossible. Um, yeah.
Unless you are a diamond player looking to cast plat or gold games, or vice versa, gold plat looking to cast diamond games.
Yes. Exactly.
You will not be. Yeah. I thought there was something else that maybe I'm just crazy. Never mind, keep going. I lost my train of thought already.
So if you are wanting to be a caster or a streamer, we will be putting out a production doc probably right after this podcast. Hopefully right after this podcast. Which you can sign up to be a streamer and a caster. I believe we are trying to look to be able to get as many as, what'd you say, 30 casters?
The 30 casters would be the maximum, because that would be 5 sets, 2 in each set, 5 sets for each league, which would host 10 teams, which would mean every game is casted.
Yeah.
That is maximum. Don't expect to get that much outcome, but that's like the overlofting goal, like the perfect happening is if
Honestly,
we had that much.
Our first goal would likely be about 10 casters, just to give us at least one set for each
And
division.
then come on, shoot for the stars.
A couple backups. So realistically, we are looking to at least work our way up to 10 casters for this upcoming split, just so we get every division covered for at least one best of 3 each week. So that's the realistic goal we have for this season.
Yeah, and the bigger thing with moving from this format to the old format is most in the past couple 1 or 2 seasons, it has not been overwhelmingly the case. But before that, and even in these past few seasons, most, if not all, of the casters that were in our league were also players, mostly sometimes substitutes, sometimes even starters, with this whole casting over recording things, and that has just been not a very healthy system. So we're doing away with that and pushing more towards I guess you could say, focus on casting as its own department, almost. I'm using bad words because I can't think. But
well, I'm knowing how y'all like to get off on tangents. I'm gonna keep the pain train moving here. Make sure we get all our topics covered in a speedy manner, and we're gonna go ahead. Another thing we need to, another item of business before we get into y'all's questions that we had this week, that we need to go over is name change. first off, why a name change? Two reasons for that. First reason being is new ownership, new identity. We kind of want to um, present the new era in our own light and kind of do that by changing the name um, and branding and all of that. That's one reason. Um, but the second reason, and I feel on my side of things, the most important reason, as far as my opinion, is Rising Summoners gates us to be a League of Legends community, and we have talked about expanding to other games in the past, whether that be Fortnite, PUBG, Overwatch, Rocket League, whatever. Um, Summoners kind of gates us to a League of Legends community, whereas if we were to change the name, we could possibly expand. Now, a couple things before we uh, get super crazy excited on what I just mentioned. One, we're not expanding till at the least, summer. So don't expect that for spring. And two, for those of you that like the classic name, uh, Rising Premier League will be a possibility uh, if it's popular enough. But we're dropping the summoners part. So about the name change, the way that's going to go down is a Google Doc's going to be released, probably in the announcements page, probably somewhere else as well. We'll make sure you have multiple ways to get to it, and it is going to be available for y'all to submit names to us. Uh, Anything that Super Troll will obviously be thrown out, but it'll be y'all's chance to impact the server that you're on, as well as possibly win a little bit of pricing if your name is the name that is chosen. So,
So do we want to go on to questions now?
Yeah, I think that covers everything. Just sort of quick reminder, because I don't think we specifically stated it for the first subject. Maybe we did. But as we've been mentioning, after following this podcast, we're going to have a global announcement with the Google Doc forms for staff trainees for the spring 2018 production team and for the name change. So all three of those things will be readily available at the end of this podcast.
All right, on to questions. I'm gonna get the biggest question out of the way right away. The next podcast, which will be on March 21st, we will be doing a tier list and power rankings for teams and all players. And when we did the first podcast, I promised you guys that I will make sure we get the players all done. I will force Django to do that.
Batman promise, not me. Batman promise.
No, we all promised.
No, just you.
so
It's definitely something that we want to get done, 100%.
Yes.
But as far as players, if you are upset that the players don't get done, all three of us promised
Come at me.
a team's power ranking. All three of us agreed to promise that. But if you want to blame someone for players not getting done, you will have to direct that 100% at Batman, including your dissatisfaction with where you were ranked.
Yes, come at me. I'm ready for the flame.
I'm born ready for flame.
I'm born
All
ready.
right, so going on to questions. I've already forgotten them. Hold on, I gotta tab back in the Discord.
Let's do the.
A couple of questions regarding the rule set and the rule set for 2018. First off, the rules for spring 2018. This was mentioned to captains before, but not in a podcast, I believe. But the rules for 2018 will be.
He's coughing.
Oh god, that. Excuse me. Muted myself. The rules for 2018 will be available with team and free agent registrations in 2 weeks. But we had a couple specific questions on rules regarding filler picks, the minimum games required that we are continuing to enforce, I suppose, and then a washed up rule. I'm dying, so someone else fucking talk about it, please. God.
So the minimum games for anybody to be eligible to play is going to be 50 for spring, 100 for summer, 150 for fall. This is easily attainable, and a number that we set to assist us in helping to make sure people are playing in the divisions that they belong. We are going to introduce a washed up rule for spring, summer, and fall. Washed up meaning you finish the season in a division above where you currently are. So if you were a diamond and you want to play platinum now, you can with the washed up rule, but you have to have 200 games instead of 50, 300 in summer, 400 in fall. So um, that is all there is to really explain about
Now,
that, I believe.
is that going to be you have to be anywhere in Plat, or is it just Plat 5?
No. The washed up rule is not like I was Diamond 1 and I have 200 games played and I'm Plat 1, 2 wins in promos with exactly 200 games played. Now I can play in Plat. No. If you are eligible by the standards set in the washed up rule, your account can be reviewed on a case by case scenario, and tournament officials, executive officers, yada yada yada, will decide whether or not the account is washed up. Oh god, still died.
So yeah. Okay, so do you want me to go on to the next one?
Yes.
Let's see here. We got
Filler picks.
Filler picks. So filler picks are kind of useless, but not useless at the same time. Because it kind of forces us to be in LCS order when we do filler picks. Because I don't know. You explain this a lot better, Toe Knuckles.
All right. So the filler picks is something that we don't necessarily really like because it can slow down game lobbies, and we understand the frustration of using filler picks. However, since we don't require players to play in the position that they are listed on the roster, the way we give you the advantage in the scouting department, quote unquote, scouting, if you guys enjoy that aspect of it and that tactical advantage going forward to prepare your picks and bans, is to make people line up in LCS order. Because we have people that play support in solo queue, but then they play mid lane in RPL. And so it's kind of nice to be able to see, well, when they do play mid lane, they play ABC champs and they perform best on B. We don't want to play against that. And so it gives you a chance to prep your bans better. For those of you that enjoy the pick ban strategies in your competitive play. So in order to do that, we have to make filler picks available to use because of the fact that not everybody is going to own every single champion. And so if we're going to look at trading picks, then we have to have filler picks available because there may become the few instances where someone doesn't own every single champ. They want to pick a certain champ for their comp, but that player doesn't own that champ. So filler picks will continue to remain available. We know there are third-party programs that do drafting and things like that. We are not interested in those at this time. It may be something we look into in the future. But just for simplicity's sake, the fact that we are already cramming a lot into a short amount of time during playoffs, like an entire off season basically, we are going to keep filler picks for at least spring season.
Okay.
Talked about mid
Website, Django.
website. Yay. I'm just gonna keep it short. The website is quote unquote happening. At the moment, web developers are. I've basically talked to a few and have only really been able to work alongside one of them, and that person is currently bogged down for about another 5 or 6 days with IRL shit. So we have not gotten onto the actual creation process of it. I cannot guarantee it will be ready for spring 2018. The only thing I can really guarantee is that a website is in our future. It will hold match stats and scheduling and whatnot like that, and it probably won't be as good as Elucid's just because I'm not as good as Elucid when it comes to that kind of thing. Besides that, yeah, the website is just a developmental thing that we kind of had to start from scratch, so I would appreciate your patience on that one, and I'm going to get it out as soon as I can. What else? The Hall of Fame thing was another thing that we talked about last time, where I think Tonokos talked about it last time, but I'll go over it quickly, since I seem to have air in my lungs for once.
Nope, he lied.
As I say that. Hall of Fame will be doing it slightly differently this season. This was actually, I don't want to take credit where credit is not due. This was actually Elucid's idea before he left, where instead of just basing the entries for the community ballot off of stats and raw stats, the entries off the ballots will be decided by a group of individuals, which will be different for each league. For instance, for the Plat League, myself and Batman obviously play in it, so our opinions would be more biased. So we would not be included in those in that discussion. It would be more Toe Knuckles, you Plat casters, and etc. Vice versa for the Gold League, of course. Toe Knuckles, tell them more about the community ballot itself.
So the way it's going to work is the staff heads that are going to pick out the Hall of Fame nominees are going to release a ballot with a short blurb on why they believe this player deserves to be nominated for Hall of Fame, and we aren't basing it off stats entirely anymore. So we're not going to just have a line of 3.5 KDA, 220 C average CS with in a 8 games played with an average of 14 wards dropped or whatever. We're getting away from just doing a raw stat line. We're going to do a community blurb, or not community blurb, a short blurb about why we believe that they should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, this player led vision control for all of Gold Cap and made sure his team denied vision at the same time, and it was integral to his team's success. And so we are going to approach it more from that direction in order to kind of get away from stats, just because we found in the past raw stats either completely misled people into voting for one person while disregarding another person's attributes to their team's success, or were so what is the word I'm looking for? They were so inconsequential that you had two people with a nearly identical stat line and it just became a popularity contest. And so we're getting away from stats and trying to pick out reasons why this person should be in the Hall of Fame, and kind of let the community vote based on those reasons who should be in the Hall of Fame. Eventually it's probably going to boil down to a popularity contest again. Let's be real with ourselves, but we're at least trying to change it and approach it in a different direction going forward.
Yep.
Also, to answer a question I saw in chat, write-ins are not going to be a thing. They were a thing the one time when I tried to have captains submit a ballot that would like represent the team's opinion and everything. And out of the 3 ballots that I got back from team captains, half of them had players who weren't even playing in the league anymore. So, no, write-ins will not be a thing.
One question I had from Guiomi, how our members of RPL can be informed better. We can try to use, I know I've been trying to use the global announcements chat more. Sometimes I forget, like tonight I forgot that to go tell us that the podcast was going live the first time. And we will also, for people that can't watch the podcast, I'll try to put like a short description in the the announcement with the podcast video, so that way, if nothing that you if you see nothing that pertains to you, you don't have to actually watch the podcast, because some people don't want to sit 30 minutes and listen to it. They just want to know. But yeah, pretty much we'll just try to use the global announcements channel a lot more than what we are. Let's see here. What else do we got?
Any more questions?
I don't see any more.
There were a couple. I'm just gonna breeze over a couple things real quick that we don't have to give a long blurb on. That's the word of the night, blurb, apparently. Anyway,
Blurb.
any new big updates as far as next season? Not likely. Let's be real. We are cramming an off season into playoffs, and so rule changes and things like that are going to be minimal. You're going to mostly see a lot of your big changes as far as new games, new teams, all of that between spring and summer. So rule changes are going to be minimal, just ones that we think we're adding to make the leagues healthier.
Please read the rules.
Yeah. When you sign up, please read the rules. It's something we kind of expect you to do.
We had like 70 signups for winter season or something, which all stated that they read the rules, and then I think we answered like 350 questions about with answers that were just simply in the rules.
I'm pretty sure I'd be rich if I got $1 every time somebody asked me something that was in the rules.
No, yeah, I get that the rules are quite long and sometimes tedious to find exactly what you need, and I don't mind answering a question here and there. But especially, I feel like week one. Week one is the worst of every season, where you just get several questions from every team in the league that has just no idea what they're doing. It's really fun. But yeah, did we forget anything? I'm sure we forgot something.
Community outreach. We are gonna start utilizing Twitter more. We do have a Reddit. I'm not sure how we're gonna go about using Reddit more. I'm still trying to figure that part out. But as far as Twitter, that's going to be used less like a second global announcements channel, and it's going to be something where we interact with you guys on a personal level. Things where you guys will possibly maybe highlight a rule that's been a hot topic rule, and we'll discuss with you on Twitter. That way, you get to give your feedback on a public forum, or we'll talk about things that aren't necessarily league related. Things like, what do you think about this patch, etc., etc. Just so we aren't doubling down on global announcements, but things like that. So we will start utilizing Twitter more. We may or may not have some fun roasts in there, I guess, Steven. I don't know. We'll see when the time comes if someone becomes roastable, like too painfully obvious to pass up. We may appease the savage community here
like
in
that
RPO.
rank 100 jungler that plays on FES. Yeah, he needs to be
Fucking
roasted.
shitter.
What a fucking shitter.
But
I heard
Batman,
you're the Volibear one trick.
Yeah, I'm a Volibear one trick.
Since the chat has asked for it several times, I'm gonna go ahead and just put you on the spot. Are stats gonna be back, or is that something that's
You see.
Oh my god. The double promise. Holy shit.
Well, you see, the very first stats that I posted took me legit 20 plus hours.
Fun times. Dude.
No joke. Like 20 plus hours to get every single little stat. So I'm gonna say no, unless somebody tells me a different way on how to do it, and it doesn't take 20 plus hours to get everybody's games. It's not gonna happen.
For this season, I'm going to look into a way to make it a possibility for next season, but I'm not. There's too many other things to worry about if it doesn't happen kind of easily, quote unquote easily, on the side. then it probably won't happen till spring. At least nothing major. Maybe something simple, but we'll have to.
Heck, we might look at, we talk about different stat positions. Maybe we just bring on a statistician. That's all they do is they just do the raw stat. So
I mean, if you want to do that, sign up.
Yeah,
yeah, there you go. If you want stats, you become volunteer to be our statistician, and you can have stats.
Exactly.
But other than that, I think everything else we are.
What about community events like karaoke night?
Oh god, yes, community events. How could we even come close to forgetting such an important thing? Okay, no, serious talk though. Community events are something that I would love to do, just because it would be. We are a community. Holy shit, that took a long time to just say that. We are a community. So doing things that are not gaming, like 100% gaming related, is not out of the question. The problem is, just kind of with other things right now, is there's too much other stuff to focus on. And I also wouldn't want it to become like karaoke night every Thursday night, right? Like that would just be way too much. Maybe once a month type of thing is what we should start it off with.
Or bi-weekly like the podcasts.
Yeah, we'll pretend like we do podcasts bi-weekly. uh Definitely something we're looking into. But it probably out of gaming, community events within the server probably won't be structured until a couple weeks into spring season, when all of that jazz has settled down.
Also, to speak to the vast number of people in production team and management team, we have already cleared out a bunch of management team. Production team is the last one we have let to go. It's just they're the hardest people to find to do the jobs we need them to do, so we're kind of doing it at a slower pace. Not everyone you see listed as a member of production team is actually working in production right now, admittedly. But
That's something we could do right now, but it's just going to be a lot easier to do when we do the entire staff overhaul.
correct. So we have people that are on production team right now that are no longer acting members of production team. Will be cleared out in the future, but we don't want to clear out someone that is still is listed as a production team member and has interest in continuing to work within that role going forward. So yes, we recognize that there are people that are on the production team that are doing absolutely nothing, and we know that. So.
I believe we covered everything.
Covered everything I want to cover, so.
Dude, did you know I actually wasn't following Rising Summoners on Twitter? I just now did.
Oh wow. I don't even have a Twitter.
I have one just to follow professional gamers and cute cat pictures.
Alright. Back on track.
Wait, are you telling me cute cat pictures are not on track as it gets?
No.
I'm ready for a nap.
We would absolutely love to tell you guys how we feel about TSS's rising dominance in the league.
But they haven't played
However-
any games.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, there's a power rankings next week, and that'll probably be covered in that. So you'll have to, or not next week, next podcast.
Next podcast, 2 weeks.
March 21st, baby.
So
Be
March
ready.
21st, tune in, and we'll tell you exactly what we think of TSS.
We'll
So-
have some of that podcast. I can promise you that.
That's gonna be a long ass podcast. We're gonna have to make sure that we do the pre-recording correctly, because I'm not gonna live that podcast.
I'm not going to do it twice either, so we better do it correctly.
It looks like I'll be doing it twice if it doesn't work.
Wait, god damn it.
Okay. Are we you ready to sign us out, Django?
No, hold on. I have to respond to Gui.
Oh my god. We're at 34 minutes and we wanted to keep this under 30.
To be fair, it's still shorter than the live cast, or the vodcast. The vodcast was up to
Was
like
it?
50, so
Really? It was that
Yeah.
long? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we sped through this shit then. Good work, boys. All right. Again, sorry for having to redo this live. Although, No, I was about to say it was a fun little thing, but it really wasn't. So yeah, sorry. Uh, we'll be back in 2 weeks with the podcast that everybody is looking forward to, because it will cover literally everything from spring 2018 to winter 2018 power rankings and everything in between. So that'll be a big one to look forward to. I believe we've already cleared out the podcast channel in the Discord. So if you have any questions that you want us to, questions or discussion topics that you want us to go over in next week's podcast, please drop them there. EOS and myself will pin them, and that is how you will know that we're going to bring them up on the podcast. Besides that, I hope everyone has a better day than I had, because my day was shit. What was your guys' day?
Also, last
Wow,
thing.
just ignored me. Wow.
Completely ignoring you. I got a nap today, so I feel great. I did want to go ahead and give a shout out to Gui and who else was it?
And Dio, are you talking about questions?
No, not the
Oh.
questions.
The Nija Blaze guy.
The
For
couple guys
cheers?
that gave us the cheers and the bits. It's small, but
Oh right, I'm not listening on Twitch. I can see that.
it could add up if enough people do it. So we do appreciate it.
Thanks
So
for the 20
thank,
cents. Appreciate it.
thank you for your bits.
We love
We love when you guys give us your bits. So keep giving us bits. So yeah.
All right.
All right, that's what
Alright.
I had to say. Yeah.
I am
Awesome.
ending the stream now. Have a nice night,
All right,
everyone.
good night, everybody.